welcome to the PossAbilities Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie. Hello, nice to see you. And today, it's my pleasure to be joined by the chair of PossAbilities, Professor Donna Hall. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Charlie. I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. It's a pleasure to have you on. Obviously, we can't do it face to face because of current circumstances, but we'll sort of gloss over that for most of this interview anyway. So you came into PossAbilities very recently, just like myself. I came in during the pandemic. As a digital support assistant. You came in very recently as the chair, and it sort of came out of nowhere. You sort of taking on this new role. So for people who are unfamiliar with who you are, because you do have quite a big reach within your community and everything else. What was it that you actually did? You obviously don't have to go way into your career, but just let us know what are some of the things that you did prior to your position here.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. And thanks for the invitation to do the podcast as well.
Yeah, no problem.
That's really kind of you. So my background is working in a council. So I've worked in a council most of my life. I've worked in the private sector and the community and voluntary sector as well. And my first ever job was in Bolton for a company called Bolton Neighbourhood Economic Development Agency, and it was helping social enterprises. So I've always had an interest in social enterprises. So that's why it's great to come and be appointed. I'm really privileged to be appointed as the chair of PossAbilities, such a brilliant social enterprise, and to work with Rachel and the team. Such a fantastic team of people, including yourself, Charlie.
Yeah, don't want to blow my own trumpet.
But my most recent job, so I've worked in all different parts of a council, but mainly recently I've been a chief executive. So I've kind of run a large council. I've been chief executive at Chorley for 6 years, and then chief executive at Wigan Council for 8 years. So I'm passionate about public services. I'm passionate about social care. So that's why, PossAbilities seem like the ideal place to come to.
Yeah, well, like we're only, I think we're 7 years this year, 7 years old this year. So we're still relatively new within the social enterprise sector. So yeah, like with your past experience, like you've just said, it is great to have you on board. Another question to lead on from that is with your previous experience, how do you think that is going to lend to your new role here within PossAbilities as the chair?
I think, the first thing to say is I'm just in awe of everything that PossAbilities do. So I'm learning a lot. I'm not going to come in like some kind of knight in shining armour and just sort everything out, because it's already amazing. And I just love the feel of the centres. When you walk into the Cherwell Centre and you've got all the lovely animals, you've got people happy, you can just feel it as you walk in. It's got a brilliant culture and a good feeling about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that, probably?
Unfortunately, like I was saying this to Ryan, one of our media people, that we came in through the COVID, through the pandemic, and although I've worked with PossAbilities on and off as a compare for the shows for years. I've not really been like an employee of PossAbilities through the situation of, okay, we've got everything open, everything's going on, this, and this. And I've been told, like, you know, everything's totally different to what it is pre-pandemic, you know, during the pandemic. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is actually seeing what the atmosphere is like when people start coming back in properly. We do have service users around, but and it's lovely and it's fantastic and it's nice to see people, you know, just seeing them. I don't know if you're the same and you've come into these services and the day centres, and you come in and you just see them smile. Yeah. You know, I say this to people within, you know, that's away from the sector that we work in. It's a challenging sector to work in. Very challenging, because you walk through the door, you don't know what you're going to see next. You don't know what's going to come your way next. But on the other side of things, which is usually 90% of the time, which is where you get happy, smiley service users and happy, smiley staff who love the place. Yeah. And love where they are. And that, you can feel it, can't you, Charlie? And you know, it certainly can. It's an atmosphere. It's an atmosphere. Even in this situation that we are now, where limited people have to be in the office, limited people can't be in, and everything else, you can still feel it there. Yeah, exactly. It's still there. It's still there. And I think when we get, when we don't have to do social distancing and we can get back to how it was, I can't wait, because I bet you it's even better than, because I've only ever seen it in the pandemic. I'm the same. And that was sort of my next sort of question was, you know, we're in a situation now where everybody's getting the vaccine and things are sort of slowly opening up and slowly moving forward and going back to normal life. So as the chair of PossAbilities and the company, where do you see us going post-pandemic? Well, I think we've got the really exciting opening of our flats, haven't we, in August? Yes. So that's something to look forward to, you know, purpose-built flats to give people independence and their own front door, really high quality. So that's going to be something to really look forward to. And hopefully by August, you know, we can get people on site and coming and moving in to their own, maybe for the first time ever, having their own flat, which is going to be amazing. So I want to do more of that, to be honest, Charlie. I think we should be building more flats like that. Independence, yeah. Giving people independence, freedom, with support if they need it, but, you know, getting people on, you know, being able to stand on their own 2 feet. And I think that's what everyone wants to do, isn't it, ultimately? So I think more housing like that. I was very impressed with how quick, like, I joined PossAbilities in November and they just started building the flats. Yeah. We're now in April and they're fully built. Like, it's amazing. I can't believe it. That is incredible. That is incredible. Like that, you know, like I said, PossAbilities has only been around for what, 7 years now, and change has happened quite a bit, obviously. But the ethos it's still the same. The ethos is always the same. I think it's got that ethos which is about
it's got there's a happiness manifesto, isn't there? That we've got, and it's based on what the person wants, everyone's different, everyone's treated with dignity and respect, and it's a team, and it's not always like that in services like this. It can be quite hierarchical and quite quite intimidating places, but it's not like that. It's the opposite. People have fun, don't they?
Yeah. People do have fun, and without trying to sound disrespectful or anything else. Like you said, sometimes within the social care sector, they have this like king of the table ethos, where there's this one or maybe two people who, okay, this is who you've got to report to. That's it. We are the top, and it goes down from there.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, it shows you, doesn't it? Because almost all of our services, I think around 90% are rated outstanding, aren't they, by the Care Quality Commission? So maybe I can help with those other services that are not quite outstanding yet, but they, because I've worked with the Care Quality Commission, and maybe I can help as well with getting us out there. Like you say, I've got quite a big following on Twitter, and I think once you know about Possibilities, you'll love it, but not everyone knows about us, do they? So maybe I can help.
It's very shut off. Is shut off the right way? The thing is, and this is what we sort of discussed away from the recording, is we stepped away from the council, and I think as a result, the publicity of Possibilities, not as many people know about it as a result, because we're not part of the council. But just because we're not part of the council doesn't mean that we're any less important. Like,
exactly.
the people that come to these day centres, and most of them rely on these day centres to sort of take themselves out of what life has to throw at them and what life is throwing at them away from the day centres, and that's their sort of escape, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's I think it's good that we're not part of the council, because we've got a bit more freedom. And I love councils, but I think social enterprises are the future, really, because you can get much closer to the local community, because the Cherwell Centre and the other, they feel like they're part of the local community, don't they?
The Cherwell Centre is quite unique, actually. Like when I tell people away from work what I do and who I work with, and the fact that I share an office with a full-size Scarlet macaw, they ask me if I work in a zoo. I don't. But it's that, you've got your therapy dogs.
Yeah.
You've got, and then away from that, you've got people like Tracy, who does the disco stuff, and then you've got people like you've got the Flower Lounge as well, up where that's a separate business in itself.
Yeah.
So that puts money back into the business, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think social enterprises are brilliant, and we need more, definitely.
Yeah. One of the sort of main questions that I've sort of wanted to ask during this, and I think most people want to know this, knowing your background and knowing what you've done in the past. Like, you've had a load of different roles, everywhere, different councils. Worked NHS Bolton at one point. So when this opportunity sort of came up, the question basically is, why did you choose to jump on board with PossAbilities?
Yeah, I really like Rachel.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes the older you get, because I'm really old now, but the older you get, the more you want to spend time working with nice people who you get on with.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think she and her team are brilliant. They're full of ideas, energy. They're fizzing with ideas, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that for me is why I like working with people like that. It gives me energy. It makes me feel like I'm spending my time doing worthwhile things. So I still work at Bolton NHS. I still chair the foundation trust there. But I think that's a good connection for PossAbilities as well, into the National Health Service and make the links there. So I think it's complementary. So neither role is full time.
So how long have you chaired the Foundation Trust NHS in Bolton then?
2 years, Charlie. So it's been 2 years. Yeah.
Right. So how did that come about?
That was because I retired from local government and I thought I want to do something. I don't want to just sit there and plant shrubs and I want to get out there and do still do something worthwhile. And Bolton is my hometown. My sister's a midwife at Bolton, so it's where my children were born, it's where my parents died. I feel like it's my family's hospital. So I just wanted to go and work there and help and give something back. And I love the people there as well. We've got a great chief executive there as well called Fiona. Yeah. So for me, it's always about what's the organisation trying to do? And both organisations, the Trust and PossAbilities, are trying to help people. They help people to live the best lives they possibly can. Live
the life you choose, I think, is the slogan that we use.
That's right. Yeah, one life, live it.
Exactly.
And I just think that's what I wanted to do. I want to help people, but I also want to support the staff. So I'm no longer a chief executive, but in the role of chair, I can help direct the organisation, maybe open some doors for the organisation, and help the organisation to grow. Because I think PossAbilities it's a model for social care that could go into every single council in the whole country. It's something really, really, I think, special. It's got some magic about it.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. We mentioned stuff like independence. So that's obviously one of your main sort of goals. So again, as role of chair. So what do you want to see for that to sort of happen?
I want to see all of our service users happy. That's the first thing, and feeling like we're helping them to live that best life that they deserve. I want us to get really good feedback from them and really good feedback from their families to say that what we're doing is helping them to be independent and to get more confidence and a feeling of, just people to feel happy.
And everything, yeah.
So I think, and that's, I listen a lot to staff, I listen a lot to service users and local communities, and I'm passionate about that. So I want to do that as chair of PossAbilities too.
What a lovely answer that is. So to sort of close this off, you've not been in the role very long. Just like myself with the role that I'm in. You've not been in the role very long. we know that we're in a difficult situation at the moment with everything going on, and we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel at this point. But with your role within the future, and I know that the future is a very bleak subject to look at the moment for obvious reasons, but we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel at this point. So the question to sort of round this off is, within your role, where do you want to see the possibilities go, say 5, maybe 10 years time?
Well, that's a tough question, Charlie. Fancy ending an interview with this really tough question, but it's a good one. So I see possibilities growing, definitely growing, building more self-contained accommodation so that people have got their own front door and a different type of housing offer, rather than lots of people living in one property altogether. Let's give people that dignity and freedom and autonomy that they deserve. And I think this is a model that could spread across other councils. And I know we concentrate mainly in the north of England at the moment, but I think within 5 years we should be spreading out into other localities and maybe helping other social enterprises to start up and to spin out from their council, and to do what we did when we set up PossAbilities all those years ago. And I think we could be almost like a role model for others to follow. Yeah.
Like we mentioned it before, how it's not very well known at this point, PossAbilities, for obvious reasons. I don't think I would have known about it unless, if I didn't do like the fundraising stuff that I've jumped on board with in the past. But it's definitely an organisation that is quite unappreciated, actually, in the way that behind closed doors, people don't see what happens there, and the effort that staff and even service users put into what PossAbilities is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, Charlie. But I mean, thank you for doing the fundraising stuff as well, because that's brilliant.
It's fine. Well, yeah, I've done the shows for them for years. I've done been the host of the shows for them at the Middleton Arena, which is what they've done for years. So I've done that pretty much since the inception, and then I joined earlier on last year.
That's fantastic. Yeah. But I think from what you're saying about publicity, the people that do know about PossAbilities love us, don't they? So all the government ministers that have been, and the council chief execs and directors of adult social care, once you know about PossAbilities and the different offer, because there is a uniqueness, like you said, it is unique.
It's a hidden gem, really, is what it is. It's a hidden gem. It's brilliant.
It is, and we need to get that hidden gem. We need to uncover that hidden gem, don't we? And get it out there, sparkling everywhere. It needs to be sparkling all over the world. Because I think, when people who do know about us talk about us, everyone's like, wow, we want something like that in our location. And I think we can help with that. But Rachel's a very unassuming chief executive. It's never about her. She's not one of these hero type leaders, is she? She's a humble leader. But I think we need more humility in leadership, and I think that's good. And she just gets on. She just cracks on with making PossAbilities brilliant, doesn't she, rather than doing the promotion? Yes,
yeah. I know this leads on to another question, like a root of a tree. But doing my research, I noticed that you were quite big on woman empowerment and how it's really important both within business and within life.
Yeah.
It's not it's not a secret that the management team here are female. Like the majority are female within the higher up positions. So, how do you feel about that then?
I think it's great because you tend to get, the higher up you tend to get more men, particularly in chief executive positions. So it's brilliant that we've got an all-female leadership team. We're bucking the trend a bit, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think you do tend to get more women going into social care professions than men, and I don't know why that is, but because I do think men can care just like women can care.
Yeah.
But I think we've got a very talented senior team, very creative, very imaginative. And we've got a really good board as well. We've got some really brilliant people on our board.
Yeah. So they're sort of moving with the times. Like, we did a video on International Women's Day, I think it was, where they interviewed the staff, and you could see how passionate this female board and this female management team were, and it's sort of because we still live in a world, unfortunately, where people look at women management teams headed by women and go, that's not going to work, is it?
Yeah, exactly, and they're so wrong. I think women make brilliant leaders. So the NHS Trust in Bolton has got a female chief executive. She's brilliant, as is Rachel. And, I think what's that saying? There are more men called John than there are women running FTSE 100 companies. More men called John. Isn't that bad? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Can you imagine putting that in the blurb of the podcast on Spotify? Good God.
So we've got to try. We're doing our bit, aren't we, to redress the gender gap? And
yeah. And I think PossAbilities is sort of leading the charge with the whole, and it's brilliant. It's fantastic. Like, you've said previously, like, both men and women can care, like, at the same level. But the fact that we have a fully female management team and on the board and everything else, who by the way don't just do half a job, like that they, like you mentioned before, they're passionate and they know what they're doing. It's quite empowering, That's
good.
Yeah.
That's good. I think when you've got a good chief executive like Rachel, she gets a good team around her, because people want to work with people who've got passion and energy and ideas, don't they? It's you go to work and you come out and you're buzzing, even though you might have worked a really long day. You're buzzing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed that myself. I don't know, and like we said in the past, we'll probably notice it a little bit more when things open up and things start moving again. Because obviously, when things do get moving, PossAbilities is a massive part of stuff like Pride and stuff like they did their own flow. So they're very out in the community, and I think the fact that you're very community-based and you're very passionate about getting into the community and working with the community as much as you can, that you're gonna lend yourself well, and people are gonna people are gonna warm up to the way that you work.
Yeah, I hope so, Charlie. I'll do my best, and I can't wait for Pride. I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
looks so good, and I love going to Pride. It's one of my favourite things. So, can you imagine being in a crowd at Pride? Just how good that's going to be after all of this social distancing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And Manchester Pride, I think, is going ahead.
Yeah. Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think it is going ahead.
Wow.
Anyway, this has been quite interesting, actually. Thank you very much for.
Oh, you're welcome. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Charlie, and can't wait to meet you in real life.
Yeah. Zoom is a massive. It's a pain, but it's a good pain.
Yeah.
With everything going on. So thank you for listening to today's episode of the PossAbilities Podcast. A massive thank you to Professor Donna Hall for joining us this afternoon for this interview. If you would like to listen to the rest of the episodes, which include an interview with Elaine Stott from Link for Life, as well as an openly LGBTQ plus service user, you can do so via the podcast providers, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Just search PossAbilities Podcast, and you can go from there. So thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye, Charlie. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.